So we actually saw Majin speaking with kids who actually saw a ghost in their school. So they actually wanted her to join a paranormal hunting club, which they actually go ahead and find ghosts, in which we actually see how Soul and Flint are actually wonder how all of the things have actually happened where they can't see, which they bump into something that they actually could not actually see in their eyes until they realize that all this happened because of a robotic monster named Invisible World. And given by the name, he actually has the ability to turn everything into invisible. That includes people as well, in which we see two Kaiser morph and battle Invisible World, which the other Rangers have joined, which he turned Juran invisible, as so as Flint, Cutter, and Ricky as well, in which it actually became very hard to actually see them when they invisible. So we actually knew how they are going to try to get Invisible World to turn them back to their normal vision, in which we see how everything was actually crazy, but we see Majin actually was in shock to actually hear that the kids were tricking her into thinking that there's no ghost, until Juan decided to come up with a plan to think there's actually a ghost somewhere, in which he actually tried to get to the school, but instead there was actually incidents that he actually made while he was invisible, which caused Juran to let out a dark aura around herself as they confronted Invisible World, who was battling two Kaiser who turned his foot soldiers invisible. So now they actually morph and did the call out, but Juran is still invisible. So we see how they battle Invisible World and his invisible foot soldiers, but when Majin decided to use nails to actually stop them in their tracks, Sachin actually suggests to use a Zenkaiger, which is the Sun Visor Zenkaiger. So Zenkaiger, Gao, and Von decided to use it to defeat the foot soldiers. Then they defeated Invisible World, which his gear let out a giant monster after everyone has turned back to normal to transform into Great Invisible World, and he turned the battlefield invisible, in which we see how they use the Senkai Juran Gao, but Juran turned invisible again, even in Megazord mode. So they decided to use Vern Magi mode, and they actually decided to use ink to find Great Invisible World when he turned invisible. And two Kaiser decided to join the battle as his sister and the others had turned back to normal using Tukayo Riki mode and actually defeat Great Invisible World. By then we see how Stacy, who remember his mother, in which we see the kids tell them that they did see a ghost, which it was playing the instruments, in which they decided to find the ghost at last, which it all helps with Juran being the ghost, until a specter actually decided to scare him as well. So we actually knew how this is actually relates to invisible, which is actually even involves ghosts. However, we see how they use the new Sentai gear, the Sun Visor Sentai gear. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen on the next episode next weekend. So anyway, like this video, subscribe for more, and comment what you think about the episode. You guys can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and my Facebook page. Until then, this is Anime Guy Juran here saying signing out. Laters, and be safe.